Howdy, Austin. My name is Emanuel Alejandro Delgadillo. Everybody knows me as Manny Fresh. Welcome to my podcast, Manny Sells Soirée. Well, hey everybody. Welcome to Manny Sells Soirée. On this episode, we have somebody from our BXN member. I don't remember if I met you through NIA or BXN. One of those two, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd have to tell me. I can't remember either.
Awesome. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name's Dagan Martinez-Vargas, born and raised in Austin. And day job is I sell insurance, come from the background of being in the alcohol industry for many years. That's what I'm most infamous or famous for, depending on how you want to look at it. And now author of a book and author and speaker.
Awesome. And what's the name of the book?
Play the Room.
Play the Room, okay. And it's based on?
Basically on all things networking, on promoting oneself. Usually most people, we're all taught how to sell. But we're not taught how to promote ourselves. And usually as soon as we start doing it, we come across as salesy. And
exactly.
From all my years working in the alcohol industry, I had learned, like in alcohol, we don't have to sell. The alcohol sells. We just have to promote it. Mm-hmm. If we promote it correctly and market it correctly, it will sell or keep selling at that level. And I mean, there's now, of course, people at the distributor and stuff that their job is to help sell it, but that wasn't my role. Mm-hmm. And so I learned that if you just focus on that, the sales will come and you'll enjoy your job, usually more so. And so then I started helping so many people do that. And how to talk about themselves, how to promote themselves, that people kept saying, you should write a book. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't want to write a book. I was like, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll do it. After I was told about 30, 40 times by the last 30, 40 people I helped, I was like, okay, I'll write a damn book. And yeah, here we are.
Awesome. Well, before we even get into your book and your career, just tell me a little bit more about yourself. You're born and raised in Austin then?
Yep.
And then obviously you're Hispanic descent, or at least your last name.
The last name kind of helps throw it in there. My dad was from Peru.
Oh, okay.
He lived to a long age, but he has since passed. But he was a dentist here in Austin. And back then I was the only kid anyone knew that had some Peruvian. And people were like, yeah, ask Dagan. And back then they didn't know how to say Peruvian. They were just like, he's from Peru. And I would keep telling people, I'm not from Peru. I'm from here. My dad's from Peru. But Texas was a lot different back in those days. Yeah. So to them, they didn't even know where Peru was on a map. Yeah. Back then it was like just somewhere around Mexico. That's what they would say. And and then my mom is about as white as paper. So
gotcha.
I'm a little mix of both.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Mexico. I was born in Mexico at the age of 9. Family migrated to California, and then I landed in Perry, Iowa. So right outside of Des Moines, where Infinite Resources headquarters out of. But yeah, I was the second Hispanic in 5th grade, and I was the only Spanish-speaking Hispanic because the other one was born here but didn't speak Spanish. Yeah. So now that little town is, probably like 70% Hispanics, especially kids in school. So how did your dad came about to Texas? My dad used to actually lived in Texas, and I didn't know that until years later when I was here, and my mom found cousins, and then I talked to her cousins' husbands, and like, yeah, your dad used to live here. Like, oh, wow.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom, she went down as a foreign exchange student from UT, the University of Texas. She went down to Peru with her and some friends, and she met my dad. And then down the road, that's how that all started. They started dating, and he was like, hey, if you want to stay here, you can... he was very well off there. Yeah. There was a big class system in Peru, just like a lot of South America. And he let her borrow a car and said, you could stay at my place. And she stayed there for a while. And then by the time she had to come back and re-enroll back into UT, he wanted to go with her and marry her.
Okay.
And realized if he wanted to raise a family back then, Peru was a dictatorship country. So he knew if he wanted to raise a family, it'd be better in United States.
Yeah.
He didn't like Texas for the heat though, because Peru never goes up above 82 degrees.
Oh, okay.
So that was really hard to get used to that. He was not looking forward to the heat of Texas, but he was very familiar with the U.S.
Okay.
And because of him, I'm actually an unofficial. I have citizenship in 3 other countries besides the United States.
Okay. So Peru?
Unofficially.
Oh, unofficially.
Unofficially,
Okay,
because in high school, junior high, high school, and college, anytime the country of Puerto Rico or Panama came up, people would say, "Oh, go ask Dagan. He's from Panama." And I'm like, "No, okay, it starts with a P, but no, it's not Panama. It's Peru."
Gotcha.
And same with Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's worse. Everyone always thought I was part Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And so when I became an official citizen of both U.S., I was already, of course, a citizen here, but I got dual citizenship for Peru. I was like, "Hey, look, I'm half the way there to what I'm supposed to be, because I'm supposed to be with 2 other countries that start with a P
Gotcha.
south of United States." That's how great kids in Texas knew geography back in the day.
Gotcha. Well, I guess let's go back to your career. So let's go back to the beginning. You said you were in the alcohol distribution business. So how did you get into that?
Yeah, so generally I was working through high-end restaurants and bars. Well, really just all restaurants back throughout college and even part of high school. And when I was toward the end of college, I was at a very popular restaurant here in Austin, and the beer reps used to come in and have happy hour there. And they noticed, apparently they told me this after the fact when they were talking to me, they're like, "You seem to know a lot of people here, and you move around the room like it's so easy, and you're just talking to everyone. We even noticed you talk to people at other tables that aren't even yours."
Yeah.
And I would tell them, "Well, I'm born and raised here. I've worked other restaurants, so I tend to know a lot of people. And my parents was a lawyer and a doctor, so they worked in occupations where they met a lot of people. So I just knew a lot." And they said, "Well, we need someone to basically oversee the infamous 6th Street
Okay.
and help us with all the bars and clubs down there, because the young lady that's doing it now," and it was actually who I was talking to. I was talking to her and people in her group. They said, "She's leaving town, like moving away. And she's in charge of it. And she says she thinks she'd like you to do it." And I said, "Wow, this is awesome." And I'm like, I'm a senior. Now remember this, I'm a senior in college. And they're basically telling me, "We'd like you to go run around town calling on bars and clubs and restaurants and spend money and promote alcohol." I was like, I was like, "Am I getting punked?" And
Too good to be true.
Yeah. And I said, "Well, what's the bad news?" And they're like, "Well, you would have to quit here." And I'm like, "Do you want me to go do it right now?" And they're like, "No, this is a very important account for us. So no, put in your 2 weeks, and we got to go through the motions, but we're pretty much looking at you to have that spot." So I started calling on that industry, and I was the beer promoter. So, when you go to an event, let's say a Budweiser event or an event where Bacardi's there or someone, they're handing out free stuff.
Yep.
The Red Bull, there's usually some pretty beautiful looking ladies, sometimes a couple of guys, and they're handing out.
Type of thing.
Yeah. I was in charge of all of them. So I did all the activation, all the events and stuff like that. And so my job was to promote the brands. I had all the Mexican beers, so Dos Equis, Corona, and all the others. And then had Coors Light, Guinness, and a bunch of other products. And so I would promote all that. And then, showing you my age, 9/11 hit. The whole bottom fell out of the alcohol industry because nobody was going out.
Yeah.
It hit the hit the economy bad. And so they let me go. And then I got several phone calls from the liquor companies who I'd gotten to know, again, playing the room and communicating and getting to know my indirect rivals. The beer companies were all enemies of each other.
Yeah.
But liquor, that was a different beast. And so we were allowed to be friends with those guys.
Gotcha.
And so I would let them drink on my tab, and they definitely would let me drink on theirs, which was really cool. And so we became, friendly friends, competitors.
Yeah.
And so when I left, Bacardi, Jack Daniels, and one other one, I can't remember off the top of my head, all called me to say, hey, we'll take you, come work for us. And so then now I was managing the entire Central Texas region and calling on the whole city. So now I'm dealing with not only your downtown bars, but also golf courses, hotels, all the festivals, ACL, South by, and then helping out in Dallas for NASCAR and my counterparts in Houston for their big festivals and events, Mardi Gras for New Orleans. So
Okay. Very interesting.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then how did that transition into, your insurance company?
Yeah. So basically, when I was leaving what made me leave the alcohol industry is I got married. My wife was pregnant, and we both kind of realized two things. One, there's no job security in the alcohol world. They know if you're making, let's say, 100,000, and they let go of you and everyone else at your level across the country every time the economy goes bad, they could turn around and there'll be hundreds of people applying for your job at half the price. So the job security is not that easy, not that great, I should say. But two, you're almost living out of a suitcase. You're having long nights. A lot of things you're going to. There's a lot of debauchery.
Yeah.
A lot of people. It's crazy. It's not just the guys, but the girls too. When there's a lot of alcohol involved, when there's partying and they're with their friends and they're trying to put their cares away from their day life and going to events. It didn't have to be like late night. It could be in the middle of the day or at these festivals, but it's not really conducive to a family relationship.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm going to all these huge events and she's no longer going because she's at home taking care of the kid. It can really throw off a relationship.
Yeah.
It's like dating someone in a band. It's a whole different ball game. So
Gotcha.
Realized I had to move and do something else. And how do you leave the alcohol world where you have free expense cards to buy food and alcohol wherever you go? You get treated like VIP. You don't wait in lines. I mean, you're a pseudo celebrity at times. How do you leave that job and where do you go that can get you enough excitement to want to do the next job?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the heck that was. And I jumped into helping a family member. I jumped into the tech world, and Austin has a huge downtown tech world. And quickly I immersed myself and with the company I was working with and got to know everybody. Started getting in the newspaper, on TV, started going to all the big events. And I basically got to know the whole tech world in a very short time because I used all those skills from the alcohol world that I learned, to where people thought I had been down there for years in the tech world. Now, mind you, the tech world is downtown, also where the alcohol world was. So that was an easy transition. But I realized that I needed to do my own thing because nothing was going to give me the amount of enjoyment maybe that alcohol world was.
Gotcha.
It's like those football players, those NFL football players that don't want to retire.
Yeah.
They want to stay a quarterback until they're in their 40s. It's a drug. It's a stimulant. It's hard to let go.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I know. How about the exciting world of insurance? But I had some friends that had worked in the alcohol industry that started their own agency, and they were doing things more very specific, tailored insurance for people with cancer, heart, accident issues or potential issues, or that are worried about those types of issues. And because I was a biology major, I was the son of a doctor growing up, I kind of wanted to do something where I wore scrubs, but I also kind of did not want to work under corporations or big businesses and just be some some peanut, and I didn't want to go to grad school, so
Gotcha.
that was not on the table. And so after a while, I was like, yeah, I got to do my own agency, and then I just started branching out and doing other types of insurance. And at first, when I picked the insurance world, I was like, this is probably not going to work. I'll do it for 2 years just to see what happens, because you can't do it for just 6 months. You're not going to really know it. So it's like, I'll do it for 2 months. Well, then something really big hit our country. You may have heard of it. It was called COVID, the pandemic.
Yeah.
And when everything shut down and everyone wearing scrubs was all of a sudden having life-threatening jobs, I was like, well, maybe it was good that I'm not in that side of the industry.
Yeah.
My business didn't go down because people needed insurance even more.
Yeah.
And I said, this is where I'm going to stay.
Okay.
And I realized by some smart people in the downtown scene that were had a lot of money. The one thing they said is, when we were at a bar one time on an upstairs outdoor bar, they said, you see all these buildings? Look at who owns all these buildings or who owns all these floors. And this was really before tech had taken over downtown. But they said, it's all insurance companies and real estate companies and banks.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go work at a bank, because then you got to start from the bottom, and the chance you get where you want to go is going to be very hard.
Yeah.
But insurance and real estate is where it is.
Yeah.
So I said, well, real estate is too up and down. Then I'm just back to the same thing that I was in the alcohol industry. And the alcohol industry also worked nights and weekends. Everyone in real estate tends to work a lot of nights and weekends. So I was like, I will do the insurance for a little bit and then make enough money to dabble in real estate.
Gotcha.
And so that's where I ended up.
So we have a little bit of similar story when it comes to like transition. So I used to be a district manager for a cell phone company, big cell phone service. And once, I was almost to able to put it on autopilot, my district. They said, hey, here's come a new restructure. District managers, be ready to sell with your employees, open stores, close stores, work weekends. And at that time, life and work balance wasn't that great. By the time I was getting home, the girl was already like, getting prepped for bed, either I have to wake up super early to make a drive to one of my stores, or on those days off, then, you slip a little bit, So we decided to pick up and move to Austin. We said, hey, we'll change careers once we get there. And my thing was...
Why Austin?
Ooh, okay.
Out of all the cities in this country.
Yeah, so...
Besides maybe, was it the warm weather? You were like, I need to get out of this cold, freezing...
Several things, yeah. So over 20, 30 years in the Midwest, and I could not get used to the snow.
Yeah.
There's the minute it's 40 degrees and I got to put a coat, and Bella sees me when it got cold. I'm wearing a big wool coat and a scarf. So yeah, I'm already uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I could be under the sun at 100-degree weather and sweating, and I'm okay with it. So several things. I have a son. He lives in Dallas. So so he moved to. When I moved from Iowa to Wisconsin, I could still go to Iowa. It was 4.5-hour drive, so it wasn't too bad. But when they moved to Dallas, I kind of had to follow. I had to be there for him. So that was one. We knew somebody that told us their favorite city was over Nashville, Austin. Over LA, Nashville, Chicago, New York, Miami, Austin, Texas. And I knew as much as I knew about Austin.
Which is like the only small one on that list besides May and maybe Nashville.
Yeah, and I was like, that's a state capital. That's as much as I know. We looked up the demographics, and it reminded me of Des Moines, just obviously on steroids. So Des Moines, it's still like a hometown city, 700,000. So Austin reminded me of that. Music scene, which Des Moines was kind of getting there. The art scene was getting there. But then, the demographic from like the cultural aspect, the diversity aspect. We looked at that and like, okay, let's go. And so this is how I got into recruiting. that company found me, and I didn't know anything about recruiting other than that I knew Abner has been in recruiting for 20 years, and I knew as much of that. But I like a challenge. So when it comes to like Verizon stores, they get you a store and they build it from the ground up, put all the point of sales, your marketing material, your cubicles, everything, right? Accessories, all that, right? And then like open the doors, and right now as a district manager, I just had a lead, either build my own crew, lead, and then coach sales, right? And customer service. But the company that found me gave me a broken market and a broken office. And then I'm like, okay, I can sharpen new tools. And I know I could do the sales aspect and the management aspect. I didn't know anything about recruiting, other than like me recruiting my own personnel in the past, right? But it's a little bit different from staffing and you recruiting your own employees, right? And I kind of took up on the challenge and, turn a troubling office into probably the best market for that company, which is crazy enough that they were having trouble because Austin is a huge market.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I talk a lot. So long story short, my thing is a challenge. I like a challenge. So what is it, like the fundamental or the core value to you that kind of made insurance be your, like your drive or your passion?
Yeah, I was just, I felt like I didn't want to go to my grave saying this guy just helped a bunch of people drink and have fun, which is not necessarily bad. That's not a bad way to go.
Yeah.
But it was just like, there's got to be more to it. And I felt that all those years as a biology major that I put into college, I didn't want it to go to waste. Because, so many of these successful people, they're using knowledge that they had gathered earlier in life. And I didn't want to just leave it alone. And so I wanted to be able to do something that helped people. And so I really enjoyed that aspect. And that's why when people said I should write a book, I was like, well, of course I don't really feel like it, but they're like, but you'll be able to help more people. And of course, since I was doing a lot of one-on-one meetings like this and sitting down with people, and we would talk about each other's business, and then they would ask something like, well, yeah, I was like, one of the struggles I'm having is this. And I'd say, well, do you want some advice? It's like, I know how to fix that. And they're like, really? What are you thinking? And I would tell them, and they're like, oh my God, that was awesome. They're like, what else you got? I'm like, well, I noticed you do this and you have this and your website does this. And I'm like, I would fix this, and this is what I do with this and that. And I generally get this reception of, wow, I wish I had met you 6 months ago or a year ago. And I can't believe I've been doing it wrong all this time. As in, when they say wrong, just not as great as they could have been doing. And that they were technically losing sales by not focusing their business correctly. And so that's what gave me enough passion to write the book so that I could help more people. And of course, an added benefit was I didn't have to do all these one-to-one meetings all the time. I could just say, hey, go read my book and then we'll talk.
Gotcha.
But I noticed and again, I don't charge them for that. I'd like to, but that's a whole different setup. That's a whole different mindset. That's a whole different thing. And I helped bars and clubs do that all the time. They would ask, they'd say, yeah, the bar's doing good, but we're hurting on this night, or there's something that's not working, or I don't know what it is. And they would ask me for my opinion because I called on over 100 of the top restaurants and bars. So when they wanted to know what was happening, I have seen 99 other places and what they're doing right or wrong.
Yeah.
And so I started learning how to look for issues and what's wrong. And even to this day, if I go to a bar or a concert, I see the issues the place is having. Yeah. And when people are like, Dagan, let's go over here, I go, no, we can't go over there because this is what's going to happen. We need to go over here. because the way the place is set up. And then later during the concert, they're like, oh my God, this was so much better. We came over to this side of the concert, let's say, instead of that side, because I'm seeing all those and knowing all that, kind of like a wedding, or what do you call those? The wedding organizers.
Yeah, wedding planner.
Yeah, wedding planner know what to look for and what to do. Yeah. And I just noticed the more people I could help, the better. And constantly, whether it's the insurance or it's the book, it's helping people and hopefully making at least good enough money that I can at least feed the family and take care of them.
Yeah, I gotcha. I think that's probably the most important thing when it comes to sales or maybe a business or maybe just in general. I think that the word helping, that's probably the biggest thing. I've never, I started my sales career in my 20s, and I like to be proud and say that I'm self-taught. I didn't finish college. I took a couple credits, and then I saw that it wasn't for me. And I didn't know what to do. I was a little bit of artistic, so I knew how to draw. And then, I had aspiring, at a young age, maybe like when I was in 8th grade, I had aspiring goals of becoming an architect. And then I saw that it has nothing to do with me drawing, and then graphic design and stuff like that. But I knew, I guess, how to talk to a customer and become a sales person based on customer service and just helpful. So I think that's the biggest thing that I could take away from what you're saying. You're able to help people. You're not looking at it as a transaction. It's generally educating your customer base and helping people, and then kind of the sale comes by itself, right?
I've helped people, and they're making more money than I am. And I'm like, wait, you just took what I gave you. And now you're doing better than me. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Something that, before I forget.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin, when I was a district manager for a different cell phone company, I had to help. It was one of those restructures where they said, hey, you need to district manager, help your store sell. So the store, it was one of the probably busiest stores. And so I had to help out with my employees' customers. And they were very, I guess, impressed with me that they came back and they wanted me to go. It was a little bit of pyramid scheme. It was a book, right? But it was a book about, I forgot, had the word leadership in there. And then they said, hey, me reading this book has helped me become better person. I'm working on my finances so we can be financially free. And it's like, we would love for you to, be a part of this. You're going to be self-employed. You're going to do this. You can work in your own pace. You can make, this pyramid scheme, right? You can be a diamond, whatever position and make all this. And you got to get all these people to come in and then, sell this book for you. And then you make money off that. And I read the book, and then I was like, they were shocked that I was very turned off on that. And they're like, what? It's like, you're the first person that we're getting this feedback. Everybody's usually like pumped and impressed. And I'm like, well, I already do that. And I want to provide impactful conversation, have an impactful conversation and have an impactful interaction. And hopefully I can give you something of that leadership. But I think it's within me for me to give you that. I don't necessarily need to monetize it. Now, you, on the other hand, you wrote a book, which is great. You could monetize that, like how you said a little bit earlier. You can monetize, interactions and those consulting services. But to me, I was like, okay, this book, like, I already know this. I already know how to do it. So where I'm getting at, I like introspective reading, like the books we were just talking about, The Pitching Point and Outliers. And one of my favorites is Paulo Coelho, Portuguese, who wrote The Alchemist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, let's dive a little bit more into your book. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So generally, there's a lot of sales books, and they're basically, there's Bibles about of how much material there is on how to sell. Yeah. But the key thing I work on is the mindset of talking to people so that you can actually make it to sit down and talk about the sell. We're all taught how to sell, but we're not taught on the process of getting to sit down with someone. And that's the biggest issue. It's like this kid who comes back from baseball camp for the summer and says, Dad, man, I'm number one on the team from running from first base to second base to third and back to second and back to first. I'm the fastest. I'm the best. I'm sliding. I'm doing everything. And he's like, cool. That's awesome, son. What about at hitting the ball? He's like, oh, I didn't do that at all. It's like, there's too many kids practicing hitting the ball. I just wanted to practice around the bases. And, the dad's, of course, like, well, you're never going to get on base if you don't practice.
Yeah.
And so when we're sitting down with someone, I always say that's like first base. And of course, the sale is making it all the way to home run.
Yeah.
But we're just sitting there wildly hitting the bat and messing up before we even sit down with certain people. And so the whole book is taking a lot of the stuff that you learn from all the best people in sales and how to use it before the sale, the pre-sale. It's things, and some of it seems common sense, but I see it happen daily, all the time. Every group I go to, it's almost 50% of the people are doing things constantly wrong. Some of them doing it right in my face, even though they know I wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to catch, things like knowing who is the person you're looking for. When you're, and it doesn't have to be when you go to a networking room. There's going to be people here that are listening to this. They're like, well, I don't really go out networking. Well, what about when you're talking to a group of 2 or 3 people or even at your son's baseball game and the couple next to you ask you about what you do, or they're like, hey, I heard you're a roofer. Or you're sitting down at an event, at a gala, at a concert, every time, or on social media, that's a huge one too. You're talking to groups of people all the time, sometimes just one individual, but you're messing up things that you're doing, not on purpose, but you're messing things up that could have helped you close that deal, which is getting to sit down with them, not closing the deal that they're going to become a client, closing the deal on sitting down with that person. For some people, it's when someone shows interest. Like if I have someone come up to me and say, hey, Dagan, I heard you sell insurance. I really need to talk to you because I need a life insurance policy. You're going to have certain people go, oh my goodness, woo, he needs life insurance. Oh, this is great. He came up to me. I'm okay. When can you meet? Can you meet right now? Like what, but they start going. Usually the first thing I do, I go, cool. What makes you think you need life insurance? That's basically a block.
Yeah.
I'm basically saying, are you sure?
Yeah.
Because I need to know why you think you need the policy. And so that's right away. I'm not going to go into sales mode. And that's what most people want to do right away. Or one of my favorite ones is people keep saying you all the time when they're talking to people. They say, well, let's say, I don't know why I got roofer in my head, but let's say I'm a roofer. It's like, I'm a roofer and I give free quotes. Like, okay, don't all roofers give away free quotes?
Yeah.
Like, I've never met a roofer that says, we're going to charge you $200. Maybe it was 10, 20 years ago, but I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah.
All roofers give free quotes. So you've already told me something that provided no value. And the first thing you thought you would tell me is something that you do for free. So are you telling me that because you don't think I can afford you, or that that's my only concern, or I don't even know you and you're trying to offer me free, like can I not pay? But also it's a little like, well, wait, don't all roofers do this for free? So are you trying to pull one over on me? You're trying to show me that you're going to give me value, but that's not really any value different from all the other roofers.
Yeah.
And so, and you're coming up to me and saying, this is what I can do for you. So I would flip all that and say, yeah, we do a lot of things for our clients. It's always your clients or our clients. So if I'm talking to you and I might think you might need a roof, might say, yeah, for what we do for clients or potential clients is we, of course, give them a free roof inspection. But notice I said, of course, we give them a free roof inspection, meaning that's normal, commonplace. But just to let you know, we do offer that, of course. But we also have a drone that we can get up there too. And we do this and we do that or whatever it is. But you start providing, but it's constantly talking to people about other people.
Yeah.
It's not talking about you. As soon as I keep saying you or, hey, if you're interested in this or you this or that, your mind, whether you consciously or subconsciously are going to do this, you're going to go into, oh, he's trying to sell me. Yeah. This is defense mode. I don't need your product. Yeah. Well, guess what? I don't need you as a client. I would like you as a client, but I'm not interested in you. I'm interested in your book of business. I'm interested in all your clients. I'm interested in all your friends and family. That's going to change maybe my tax bracket. You becoming my client may not. Now, of course, if it's like buying a house for me, that's one thing. Yeah. But I chalk it up to like, if I said right now, I have $5,000 I need to get rid of today. My accountant says I need to get rid of it. I'm about to get into a tax bracket or I'm about to get charged some penalty and I need to get rid of $5,000. I don't care how insane that sounds. It's just an analogy, an example. But if I have to get rid of $5,000, do you know someone who would like $5,000 right now in the next like 30 minutes? Yeah. No. Do you? Who would like $5,000 right now?
I think anybody.
Okay, but pick someone.
Oh, shoot, I don't know. My son.
There you go. 5,000. Yeah. What about you?
He's unemployed.
What about you? Can I just give it to you and you give it to your son?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So by me asking you if your son or anyone around you needs it, you can sit there and if you think someone in your circle needs it, you're going to start thinking right away. You're going to try to help me. Right now, you were very easy to help me think of someone that could use $5,000.
Gotcha.
And you got real close to home. So you're like, my son, which is perfectly fine. And some people, I'd say when I ask this about 50% of the time, they will pick someone close to home or some nonprofit or something. They'll try to get, they don't want to say themselves. Yeah. And then half will say, well, I'll take $5,000 and I'll give it to a nonprofit I know or whatever, but they'll say themselves. But I didn't ask you, do you want $5,000? If I said right now, my account says I need to get $5,000, would you like it? Yeah. The first thing that's going to go in your mind is, what's the catch? Yeah. Wait, what? Why? What? Wait, say that again? You're going to start having all kinds of defense mechanisms because that's not normal. But as soon as I offer, I got $5,000 I need to give away to anyone, you will help me with that. And there's a chance if you need it, you're going to tell me you need it. I don't need to pitch you $5,000. Yeah. I need to pitch it to your network. You will tell me if you want it for yourself. And so that's the problem when you're visiting with other people and talking. As soon as you say, yeah, if you need a roof or you need a financial advisor or if you need life insurance, I'm automatically going into sales mode. Yeah. And people don't even realize they do that because we're so taught how to do that. And we're trying to provide value. I'm like, hey, I'm a financial advisor. I'll give you some free financial advice and sit down with you and go over if you need. I didn't even ask you if you needed it. Yeah. I'm just assuming you need it. Or I'd say, do you have a financial advisor? No? Okay, well, I can help you. I can give you some free stuff and da-da-da-da-da. Why? I didn't even ask for your help. You just all of a sudden sold me or trying to sell me. Yeah. And so we do these things all day, every day. And if you just change a little bit here and there on things you're doing, including on your website, including on your social media, you will all of a sudden see a difference in people reaching out to you. I've helped someone and I told them something they were doing wrong on their website. And their website had not had any hits since they had thrown it up. As soon as she changed one thing on her website, which was the biggest thing on the website, her phone rang the next day. from a potential client.
Yeah.
All because she had one major phrase she was basically talking about, and that targeted, that would, while it was an awesome thing she's talking about, she needed to move it further down below into her services. She was basically highlighting something that was scaring people away because people did not want to admit that was an issue they had. By moving it down and moving one of the things at the bottom to the top, which was more broadening, when people saw it, they're like, I have that problem.
Yeah.
And they called her. But when she picked the problem that nobody wants to admit to, they didn't want to call.
Yeah.
And that one thing changed her business.
Awesome.
Drastically. So a lot of times it's not just, I don't recreate everything. I just take things that you're doing and I just tweak all of them. And then once you're doing it right, you've got a clear message on your social media, on your website, with what you're saying, your messaging, when you stand up and talk to people, when you walk up to someone, everything is the same message and the same goal. Then your phone starts ringing.
Yeah. So how would you describe your book? Would it be a self-development? It's a sales 101, B2B? How would you describe your...
Yeah. So I created it to be a simple read. It's specifically takes closer to an hour and a half than an hour, but under an hour and a half to read the whole book. And I purposely did that because that is about the length of time for a meeting between two people, a 1 hour meeting with some minutes before and after to get ready and set up or to walk away or get away. And so I did that on purpose and wrote it to be very quick and very easy and fun. Because that's how, when you're networking, it should be. Most people don't find networking necessarily fun. They find it kind of stressful because most people are introverts. But that's what this is meant to be. It's meant to be a fun, quick read. And each chapter, there's over 20 chapters, and each chapter is only about 2 or 3 pages. Okay. But each one highlights one thing for you to do. So it's funny you asked that question because I haven't done an audible of the book yet because it's much harder to go back, even though I love Audible, it's hard to go reference the book.
Gotcha.
With a lot of books, you can just read from beginning to end and okay, you got it. This one gives you a bunch of things. So I encourage people, write in it, fold the paper, the pages if you need to, do any of that you need to, draw on it. I wanted to make it
That's
like a
how I read, by the way.
Yeah. I wanted to do it like an official workbook, but that can hurt sales because it scares people that don't want to do a workbook.
Yeah.
So I didn't, but it's meant to be a fun, quick read with a bunch of little points that allow you to go back and reference it later.
Gotcha. Well, for people like you and me, it might come natural. I always been like a high energy, type A, whatever you want to call me, maybe a little nutty or whatever. But I guess maybe a positive person, so it comes natural to me for the networking, talking to people. Like I said, I do cold calls, so you can't say you're not an extrovert if you can't knock on somebody's door. But
that's not easy.
But how did it came natural to you doing all this networking?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed, I mentioned that it started at a younger age, and I'm not sure exactly where, but even in high school, I was friends with the cheerleaders, the skateboarders, the guys that, sat around and drew comics or read comic books, the class clown, the drama club, people in the band. I didn't really focus on being part of one group because I saw great things about different groups. And so none of this I recognized till way later. But then when I worked in restaurants, I noticed I liked restaurants because it had a lot of turnover, a lot of people coming in, and I worked at only restaurants where they had a lot of staff. Yeah. And I noticed that dealt a lot too, is I always had 30, 40 people I was gotten to know. I didn't work at your neighborhood Blockbuster with 2 other guys.
Gotcha.
It was all a lot of high volume stuff. And then every job I've had since then was the same way.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, it's kind of been, I noticed it more and more as I got older, but I just thought everyone was like that. And I didn't realize that, no, most people aren't.
Yeah. You know, one of my hardest, maybe best lessons going back to the sales and, you know, when we talk about you and the pitches and everything, I do remember kind of like a wake up call. I got super excited about a customer and all I did was did like a 30-second elevator pitch, high energy, just told him what a great product was this for him. And I remember it blew up on my face. He literally said, "Thank you," and walked away.
Yeah.
And no discovery, I didn't get to know him. You know, I probably didn't even remember his name, and I'm big on shaking hands and getting people's name, but I probably didn't even do that, you know? So,
and we've all done it. Like I've done it. There's times when I walk away and I'm like, I just messed that up. I can't believe I did that. I did exactly what I tell people not to do. And it happens. The thing is, you want to minimize the most amount that you can to do that. But there's at least 2 or 3 instances I wish I could take back, go back and take back what I did because it was with a friend and I felt like I ruined the relationship with the friend because he took it as I was selling him, which I wasn't, but I totally get that I look like I was.
Yeah. What else can you tell us about the book? We don't want to give everything away because we want people to buy it.
Well, that's do we have it? We have
Yeah.
one. I forget. We have a copy right here. This is one of the cool things about the book that I did was, and showing you a copy of this is it did, everything I did for the book came from networking and using my network, my Rolodex, as some of us people who are old enough to know what a Rolodex is. But the graphic, I knew a graphic designer who could help me with the cover. I knew an editor, multiple editors. I knew ghostwriters. I didn't need a ghostwriter, but I got tips from a ghostwriter on what to do. I knew a publisher. The publisher, I did not use that publisher, but I knew 2 different publishers, very small publishers, and they didn't work with what I was doing anyway, but they gave me advice and they introduced me to a publisher that would work for me. And so everything I've done for the book, I did the whole book myself all the way till the very end. I handed the publisher basically a finalized copy, which is kind of rare. Most people need a publisher's help throughout the book. But I gave them a final copy and said, just, clean this up and put it out there. But I even met them, of course, like I said, through a contact. So the whole book was written through all the people I had networked with and learned on how to talk to. Well, that saved me thousands of dollars on writing the book. Because a book is not cheap to write, especially if you're going to, if you self-publish and you're just going to throw something on Amazon, cool. You can maybe get away. But if you want to go through the proper things that you need to do a published book through a publisher, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
And I saved thousands of dollars because of that. Okay. And so the whole book was written on the exact same premise of what is taught in the book. And of course, the book, like you had kind of touched on earlier, is only a stepping stone. Yeah. Yes, I offer some webinars now. I've taken on a client or 2 where I've helped them with their business and cleaned it all up in 90 days and got them. I got one to a point where she basically said, "Okay, Dagan, I don't want to talk anymore. I'm too busy. Yeah, I'm overwhelmed." And I even gave her the steps on. She was about to be overwhelmed, and she's like, "Yeah, I know." And we even got the steps ready in case she got overwhelmed. And she did so good that she still got overwhelmed. And she's like, "I'm good for a while. I'll call you when I need help." And that was like 6 months ago. I haven't heard back from her. Yeah. So she's doing great. So I've taken on clients and now trying to speak at more events. And so again, it's just a stepping stone to the next thing. Gotcha. And of course it doesn't, insurance is kind of boring. So if you're going to buy insurance from someone, it's kind of cool when you're talking to a published author. So that helps. So it helps the job, but it's it can be considered like a glorified business card.
Gotcha.
And so it's just a stepping stone to the next thing. And that's what I try to teach people not to do.
Yeah.
Don't stop moving forward.
Yeah.
Keep going. It's steps.
Yeah. So I love how the book was made. So we at Infinite Resources, we say we're family friendly, locally owned. We truly, really mean it. We have daughters that work here at our, with Infinite Resources. We got sisters that are recruited. We got best friends working together. So your book is basically that, right? You're talking about, networking and how maximize that role, but you did it from real life scenarios, even to the publisher, to the graphic design. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, it's people keep asking me, was it hard? Mm-hmm. And I said, no, wasn't hard at all. I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't. Why? Because I already had all the pieces. And that's why on the front cover, it's a chess. And I say, play the room like it's chess, because you have all the pieces. You just need to know how to play the game and start playing it.
Yeah.
And one of the fun things I did too is on the cover, I did this on purpose. I wanted it to look like the format of Monopoly type, or for video games, Roblox and Minecraft.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted it to look fun.
Yeah.
And of course it goes with the theme of playing the room like it's a game.
Yeah.
And so it makes it easy for people to read of all ages. Because if you throw a bunch of chess pieces on a book, they're like, oh, this is like higher level learning. It's probably some sales Bible.
Yeah.
It's gonna be dry. I don't want to get it. I made the book as fun looking as possible with the cover, so that anyone starting their own business from 16 or 18 and up to in their 60s can read it and not feel like it's too much.
Yeah.
And I even made sure it fit under an hour and a half, because if it was any longer, that was too long.
Yeah.
And so as I was writing the book, I was putting things off to the side. And I even had people that go, why aren't you going to put that in the book? I go, hey, that can be for maybe book 2, or
there you go.
It's stuff I can talk about at events that didn't make it in the book.
Yeah.
And so that helps too. People always ask me about things that aren't in the book.
Yeah. One book that turned me off, actually, so that's very cool that you did all that, put a lot of mind into it. One of the books that turned me off was The Secret. So it kind of like what you did, they did it where like the font looks like when somebody's writing a letter from the 1600s.
Oh, wow.
When I start reading it, like, I kind of already know this about life, and I can put it into like a sales aspect, but I kind of already know that, so it was a little bit of a turnoff because of all that. But you did a great job kind of putting all those pieces together. So what about any other favorite books? I know we talked about Gladwell.
Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell's is always one of my favorites. And again, he's looking deeper into things. He's just not looking at top level. He's looking real deep into stuff. And that's what I love. Anyone that's going deeper into it. And maybe because I was a biology major, and so I aced psychology, sociology, not theology. There was several of theologies I took that are all about the mind. Yeah. And they were all amazing, and I loved them. Human growth development, where you're learning about the youth and whatnot. And so I love books like that are going deeper into things and making you think into stuff. It reminds me of a quick case is this I noticed the other day. Someone who's about 55 to 60 was talking about how they didn't like Taylor Swift, and they posted it on social media. And before that, I had noticed at some other time, they did the same about Beyonce. Okay. Now everyone knows Beyonce and Taylor Swift. Now in my mind, I'm like, okay, first, and they're in a job where they need clients. And so first I'm like, okay, hey, go ahead. You can tell us that you don't like these people, but give us some context. Don't just put content. Give us context, which is what Malcolm Gladwell focuses on. Because you just told me that you, in your older years, don't like Beyonce or Taylor Swift. Guess what? they don't care.
Yeah.
You know what? Do you know the demographic of Beyonce and Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
45 and under.
Yeah.
You're not in their demographic. So of course you're not going to like it. So you don't need to tell me you don't like something that's not made for you.
Yeah.
But you know what you're telling me? You told me now 2 times in a row that for whatever reason, you don't like successful, strong women who speak their mind. Well, I have a 7-figure client who's a female and has a female that works for her and has a daughter. I don't know which way she swings on politics or artistic values or whatnot. But I'm either consciously or subconsciously going, you know what? May not introduce you to her because you're not the biggest fan of strong women. Now, that might not be the answer. That might not be the reason. But that's all I could get from your content.
Yeah.
Because you didn't provide enough context.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to introduce you to that person. And I know that person would love that $1 million client.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get it because I'm going to introduce her to someone that I need the person that does what you do, but your competitor. I like that person because I think he's going to help hold her hand. He's going to be there for her. He's not going to throw a fit. He's not going to have issues. So by putting this useless content that had no value, you're actually pushing clients away.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that people don't see that they do that because they're like, yeah, but like 5 of my friends liked it. I go, yeah, it was your 5 friends that are also 55 to 65.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. You told something to your friends that, of course, sided with you, but who else did you alienate?
Yeah.
And if you alienate anyone, they're not going to send you clients. And yet you're here asking me for clients. Like, it's just mind boggling. And so that's what I like about people like Malcolm Gladwell is they dig deeper into things. And that's why the book, I can't remember that, The Psychology of the Sale and other books like that. It's going deeper into the mindset of what we're doing. And those are the books that love.
Yeah. I'm a guy of the why. So I like to, kind of like you said, the context behind it, not just the answer, but I like to psychoanalyze people. I like to psychoanalyze myself, the situations I'm in, whatever, good or bad, or just a normal conversation. I do like the whys behind it. So yeah. So
well, and the opposite of this is, I'm fine with Beyonce and Taylor Swift. I'm not big fans of their music necessarily. I listen if it's on, I'll listen to it. Sure. My friends if we're in a club and they're dancing, I'll dance with them too. I'm fine with that. But the one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to alienate the fact that I know that 70% of people are positive toward those 2 superstars. And they're a big part of the demographic of people under 45. So why would I want to alienate those people? I don't care how much money I have or how much whatever I think I have. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Unless I say something like, hey, I don't like Taylor Swift because the NFL keeps showing her during my game and I don't need to see her 15 times. But, I'm an old fart. And so that's to be expected.
Yeah.
But, or something like that. Or
Jerry Jones was on TV, caught on tape doing that when they put her in. She's like, ugh.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. And I get it's frustrating. I'd rather them not show 15 to 30 times Taylor at a game showing clips to her. There's 50, 80,000 other people in the stadium.
Yeah.
Can we rotate it out a little bit? But I'm not going to broadcast that and alienate a bunch of people. It just makes no sense. And so you see people doing that constantly. And so when I'm sitting there working with the client, I'm saying, okay, if you're going to do this, I'm not telling you not to do things, but if you're going to do this, why don't you put this little bit of spin on it or do it to provide context with your content, whether you're talking to people or you're posting about it.
Gotcha.
But it's funny, the same things you're doing on your website, you're doing on your social media, you're doing when you're talking to people.
Yeah.
It's the same all the way across the board. And I usually find it everywhere. And I just tweak all 3 and then boom, you're going to do much better.
Yeah. Very interesting. what kind of advice would you give someone that wants to maybe be an entrepreneur and get into the insurance business? And also, what would you recommend to someone that maybe wants to write a book?
Yeah, someone, okay, I'll give two things, one on each. With the insurance realm, what is the end goal? What's the opportunity? The one thing I liked was that there's no ups and downs in the insurance market.
Yeah.
If you're only, I mean, we're seeing that in the property casualty business, but I'm talking not in that line of industry. But for at least covering humans, if you're in the insurance business of covering humans, not the toys that they own, that market doesn't go up and down really. It'll have a little bit of highs and lows, but it's pretty much stable. So if you're trying to avoid these jobs where you have big ups and downs, you know, that's where it comes in real handy. And it's something that's not going to go away. With writing a book, this is a little secret I learned from another coach, again, that I had met through networking. The easiest way to write a book, and of course now there's AI and some other stuff, but no, if you want to write a real book, the fastest way to write a book is to do when you text someone on your phone and you're driving or you're middle of something and you'll just hit the speech to text.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you say, yeah, honey, I'll be home in 10 minutes. And you hit send. I downloaded Google Docs because I have an iPhone. So I downloaded Google Docs on my phone. And every day that I was sitting around waiting for a client or was at the playground with my kids, instead of scrolling through social media, I just went to Google Doc on my phone and started talking. And it was transcribing, not recording. You don't want to record because if you record, you got to transcribe it.
Gotcha.
I was doing the speak to text feature so that it was just doing it for me.
Yeah.
And even if I was sitting with a potential client or a client and they would ask me a question, well, you know, Dagan, this is the problem I'm having with, you know, whatever. And I'd say, yeah, well, wait, hold on. And I would go and not record button, but transcribe. And I would put the phone down and now talk. And then later that evening or the next morning, I would go onto my computer and edit out anything that was super personal, like that was said their name or, you know, what city I was talking about. I take out the very personal thing to make it more wide ranging for the audience. And I did my whole book in 1 month.
Okay.
Now, mind you, I'm not writing a story that has a beginning, through, a middle, and end. You know, I'm not writing about vampires and werewolves fighting for this kingdom.
Yeah.
You know, that is a much longer process. But writing a book about business or anything like that, just start talking in your phone. You will realize how much time you waste scrolling on social media or looking at things.
Yeah.
And stop listening to Audible.
Gotcha.
Turn off your Audible and instead you talk now and take a month off from Audible. It's great to read a book, you know, once a week or once every few days. But if you turn that off too, and you just talk in your phone, you will have a whole book in a month.
Okay. Interesting. And any role models that you have that you look up to for business wise or authors?
Man. No, I mean, not off the top of my head that I look at
You
for
are your
everyone.
favorite author?
I know, right? No, I mean, I like Tim Ferriss. He actually now lives in Austin. He's awesome. I like a lot of these guys that they've done their book, but now they're doing their podcast or they're speaking and they've moved on. So
Gotcha.
there's I don't have like just one that jumps out. There's
Gotcha.
like 20 people I follow. The one thing I would say though is one tact I tried to do was on Facebook, I might follow all my friends and family, but on Instagram or let's say TikTok or even what's one of the other ones? I'm drawing a blank. But
LinkedIn?
no, not LinkedIn. But anyway, those two will be enough. TikTok and Instagram is I don't follow my friends generally.
Gotcha.
I follow all the people that I like, that I want to strive to be, that are famous or pseudo famous, other authors, other popular people. I'm following their stuff and learning from them. So I'm using Instagram and TikTok as a learning tool.
An actual tool, yeah.
And then on LinkedIn, I'm following them so that I'm seeing their content. And if I'm following my friends on Instagram, let's say, I'm trying not to click there on their stuff because I don't need to see their feed. Yeah. Especially if I'm following them on Facebook. Now I'm seeing it twice. So that's one thing I try to do. And that would be the best. I mean, if I could meet, now if you said if I could meet someone, that changes it. But yeah, like Tim Ferriss would be someone I'd want to meet and hang out with for a day. That would probably be up there toward the top. Okay. Of course, I'm in Austin, so Matthew McConaughey's. I've met Matthew a couple of times. Probably.
Have you read his book?
3 or 4 times. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Green Light.
Yeah.
Great book. He published his children's book the same month I did. I published mine.
Oh, okay.
My book. But I have his on Audible. Great to listen to him because of his voice. He's just all right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. But gotcha. Only because we have a lot of, again, I worked in the alcohol world specifically for Jack Daniels in Woodford. He's in alcohol now with his tequila. I used to be a tequila ambassador. I married a Hawaiian girl. He married a Brazilian girl.
Oh, okay.
Mine's from Hawaii. He loves Hawaii. They both love Hawaii. He loves UT, he loves Austin. Yeah. He went College of Communications. My brother went there too and became a director for commercials, like global, like huge name companies. So he was my younger brother, so I got to see him going through a lot of the same stuff Matthew was going through when he went to UT. So, we have a lot of crossover that keeps happening. So, gotcha. He's written a book, I've written a book. So there's a lot there that I'd like to meet.
Awesome. And then you have an event coming up, right? So you want to share that? Don't you have an event?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And then I guess what the event?
Yeah. About? So about I'm trying to basically do every month or so a 2 to 3 hour webinar where I go over a lot of the aspects of the book and help people or in a group setting. I help them answer questions. Yeah.
Okay.
And this in the next couple of weeks, I have 2 speaking things coming out where I'm going to be speaking at private events, but something that helps people when themselves. We're looking at almost every third Wednesday, I think, doing something around lunch, a webinar where people can come in and listen to what I'm talking about and answering their questions. So it's going to be very going both ways on the conversations.
Gotcha. Okay. And then what can you leave us with a couple of tips just in general for, sales, entrepreneurial, maybe an aspiring author?
Yeah, I would say know your audience. Who is your audience? Whether you're writing a book or, of course, if you're pushing whatever product you're pushing, know your audience. Every time I ask people who their audience is, it's shocking how much they're off. I've even had people pull up a spreadsheet and go, oh, well, this is my audience. And I'm like, cool, can you pull up the numbers? And they pull up the numbers and they're like, oh, wait. Yeah. No, actually, I make more money with this audience than this audience. I get more phone calls from this type of person, but I make more sales from this type of person. See? Yeah. And all they think about is all the phone calls they get, not about who's actually buying. Yeah. That's 2 totally different people. And they were targeting the wrong people. Yeah. They were targeting the people that are going to call them even more. And so know who your best person is. So in my industry, a lot of people I help are 1099, and generally a lot of people in real estate, whether it's the book or insurance. Yeah. I tend to help a lot of people in real estate with all of their different types of insurance because they run their own business. Yes. And they usually don't have a huge office, they're not like a dental office that they have people that do it for them. Yeah. People in real estate, it's only them and then their downline, which that doesn't count. Yeah. Those are all separate people, entities too. And so I help a lot of real estate people. But the other part of that is Who is the best person that's going to send you business? If, you see all this Grant Cardone and other speakers talk about 10Xing your business, who is the person that's going to send you the most business?
Yeah.
That's usually not the same person as who's your best client.
Correct.
So a lot of times real estate people are great clients for me. I also do infinite banking and a bunch of other things that they love because it involves dealing with real estate.
Yeah.
But the number one referral partner is people who also sell insurance because they don't sell the ones I sell. So property and casualty, like your Farmers, your State Farm, Allstate, Goosehead, Liberty, all those guys. And then financial advisors. Financial advisors, they want to move money. Yeah. Some will do your life insurance policy, but that's not their favorite thing to do generally. And they definitely don't do anything else outside of life insurance generally.
Yeah.
So I can help them with all their other insurances.
Gotcha.
So knowing who your best person or your avatar is on who's going to reach out to you, who is that? And write that down. Write down what makes them the best. And then write down who's the best referrals. And now everything you do in your job needs to cater to that. If you're going to go to a network meeting, cool. What are you going to do that helps you with those? Well, I'm going to look for those guys.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go talk to Susie over there, who I've known for 3 years, and waste the whole time talking to her. I'm going to go and look right away. Like if I go to an event, the first people I'm looking for are the insurance brokers and the financial advisors. Financial advisors generally will have a jacket on. Yeah. So a suit jacket. So you can catch them really quickly from a distance.
Real quick, yeah.
But that's who I'm looking for right away. And if I meet someone, and the next best person to buy from me is someone in home service contracting. Okay. So your roofers, electricians, plumbers, I cater to a lot of them because again, they're running their own businesses or they don't really come with any group benefits.
Yeah.
So I'm picking out those financial advisors and insurance guys. And then I'm looking for the real estate and the home service contractors. Those are the 4 key people I'm looking at for and talking to.
Awesome.
Now, if someone's wanting me to, speak at an event, okay, who's the attendance? Are there any of those 4 people I just mentioned? Are any of them going to be in the crowd? Okay, then maybe I'll go ahead and drive an hour to come speak at your event. Oh, those people aren't in your event? Oh, but it's you're 5 minutes away from me, then that's okay.
Gotcha.
But, because I want to cater to all types of people, but those are my 4. So everything you do in your business every single day caters to those 4 people. If you're going to go promote something on LinkedIn or you're going to go on Facebook, what's catering to those 4 demographics? Yeah. Everything you do needs to be tailored to those 4. That's how you 10X a business.
Yeah. You got to know where your bread is buttered.
Yeah. And check with other people to make sure that is what you're supposed to be doing. And look at your sales. Yeah. And make sure that's who is your best clients. I have a spreadsheet. Every time a client calls me, I put down where they came from. Did they come from this networking group? Did they come from this individual person? Did they come from this organization? I have a line, and I don't know anyone else that does this on their spreadsheets for their businesses, but I have on my spreadsheet right next to the sale, it says where they came from. Yeah. And I'm watching that.
Because this is where you can maximize.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
And if it's LinkedIn, if they're coming from LinkedIn, that's good enough too. But where on LinkedIn or how on LinkedIn? Yeah. I'll put LinkedIn / and then if I know something more, and I'll ask them. Yeah. How did you, why are you reaching out? Yeah. Where from? Who introduced you? Yeah. And I'm keeping track of all that. So I know what to cater to. So who your best avatar is in the first 3 or 6 months might not be the same as your avatar later. Yeah. Because your business is going to change and you might take on any client that comes to you. But then later you start realizing all these problem clients that take so much time away from me, I don't want them. And I notice they all come from this industry or they come from this particular thing. So stop calling on that and move to this one. So sometimes it's where you are now, but also who's the client that pays your bills now and who is the client that you want to be. That will also change a little. And who are those? If you can define those, that's great. Not just who your current client is. Who do you want your current client to be?
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, everybody, Play the Room, Amazon, right? We can
It's on Amazon, and if you're not, and again, if this is how I work, if you're not a fan of Amazon, it's on every other online bookstore globally.
Oh, okay.
So if you like Barnes and Nobles and you want to support that, go to support that. If you don't want to support Bezos, again, part of marketing and networking is don't go one avenue.
Yeah.
Help people that want to use what they want to use. If I was selfish, I would only do Amazon. That's easy. That's cheaper.
Yeah.
That's quicker. There's so much about that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to help those out. So I'm across all the different online bookstores.
Awesome. And then how can people get a hold of you?
LinkedIn is generally the best way. They can also reach out to me via email. I mean, thanks to spam calling, forget trying to do phone unless you're texting me. But my email is usually the best way. But LinkedIn, if you don't have my email, LinkedIn, I always tell everyone that's the way you should always reach out. Facebook is not the appropriate medium to reach out to people that don't know you, because unless you're sending me a private message to tell me why you're reaching out to me, because of course we have our kids and families and friends on there, and you can't just add strangers anymore now because again, a lot of them are spammers.
Gotcha. So on LinkedIn, Dagan Martinez-Vargas, I can easily find you that.
I'll be one of the only Dagans that probably pops up.
Awesome.
Well, and if you look up Play the Room or Play the Room book, my website will pop up and a lot of my other stuff.
And then what's your website?
Playtheroombook.com.
Okay, great. Easy
Again,
enough.
keep it easy for people. And then my work email is dagan@chalifeguard.com.
Okay. Perfect.
Again, I sell insurance, but that's not interesting. So I help people from drowning in debt.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm a lifeguard.
Awesome. Well, great insights. We're hoping to read the book and give you some insights. And everybody check it out.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.